there's a lot of things happening in the third episode of Hawkeye, which brings us into the second half of the first season. The big final moment is the one that's going to definitely take us in a different direction depending on how they play out the story from this point on out, as Clint has come face to face with the weapon of the Ronin. So the third episode of Hawkeye deals a lot with the consequences of the actions of Ronin, and where being that character has brought him now. How he doesn't really want to be who Kate thinks he should be or who he is. Which brings us to some great action sequences, of course revelations, and the ending of the episode, which has sort of been, I guess, building up to this point. And that's Clint and Kate realizing that maybe Kate was onto something when she suspected that her soon-to-be stepdad is maybe not who he seems, as they go back to Kate's apartment and she's trying to get into the Bishop Securities mainframe because she wants to, well, get on the case and figure out what is going on. Now, during this, they're also discussing the death of Armand and how it was with a sword and everything, and we're sort of getting the build-up that this is going to have some payoff here, and it definitely does, as the last scene in the episode is Hawkeye having the Ronin sword put up to his face. Now, obviously, this is setting up a confrontation, possibly, between the character we see here, who's of course the swordsman, and Hawkeye, or it's going to be handled completely differently, and they're going to play the swordsman as sort of a foolish character who's also been tricked by, well, the people above him and the people around him. And what I really like is that they did this early on enough that if he is a sort of a patsy or something like that, they could play around with it for an episode and then still have the last two episodes to go at it and really deal with those elements and what comes next. And of course, the ramifications of being Ronin, and maybe the ramifications and the consequences of what the Ronin sword carries with it, which I think is a big piece of the puzzle here that we still need to get a little bit more details on, if you will. So overall, I thought that the last scene was honestly one of the stronger scenes in a Marvel episode that leaves you wanting way more, but also leaves you very satisfied knowing that it doesn't seem like it's being rushed. Now again, I could be wrong and they could rush through it in the first 15 minutes of the next episode and we just go, oh, well, I guess we got to set up the other villain, right? But otherwise, this all comes together really well. The final scene, the sort of blow off, the consequences, and if this is Clint's final moment, well, he's not going to make it home for Christmas. Like, there's a lot going on that I think builds up the emotional payoff that we're going to get and what could happen, which of course won't. They're not going to kill off Clint, but it's the thought of it that I think really works with that final scene. And of course, for those of you that want all of our thoughts on this, we will have the full audio commentary episode available on our members page. So if you guys become members of the Avengers tier, well, that's going to be available, including 120 plus other audio commentaries from all the Spider-Man films to all the Batmans and more, such as every MCU film and TV series to date.